Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another TBR video. Now I've just noticed that my jumper looks extremely bright in the camera. I swear it's not that bright, but it looks like neon orange over here. Anyways, that is beside the point. We are going to be blindly choosing my April TBR, and as usual I'm going to choose 10 books. I was really busy the last 3 months, so I wasn't reading as many books as usual, but I'm fully back into the swing of things and I will be back to my reading 8 books a month. I like to choose 10 books because then it gives me more options to mood read. Without further ado, we will spin. I've got 32 books here, by the way, so we've got 32 books on this number wheel. And yeah, let's spin and see the first book I will be reading in April. Number 20. I've got a lot of fantasy romance in my TBR, by the way, and I'm so excited. I'm in such a big fantasy romance mood, especially because it's starting to get a little bit more chilly here in New Zealand, and honestly, I am just ready for the gloomy months. I really am. I love it. So we got The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. I'm so excited to read this. I'm so excited. I do fear that I'm going to be starting a lot of series, but that's okay. I'm just going to not think about it and just enjoy my life. I've heard such good things about this series. I feel like a lot of people that I really trust with book recommendations, not trust, but like I feel that we have similar book tastes, have really enjoyed this series. And I do believe this is a YA fantasy romance. Is it kind of dystopian? I've got no idea. All I know is that the main girl works as a prison healer for like the most brutal, terrifying prison out there. And I think there's a tournament, not a tournament, but there's some sort of game that goes on in here. And she takes the place of someone else, and it's like a very deadly tournament or something like that. And no one's ever survived it before. And that's kind of all I know about the book. I do think I want to go into this book and the series relatively blind. So that's kind of all I want to know about this book. But I'm so happy I got this one because I really have had my eyes on it for quite a while. And yeah, like I said, I've just heard such good things. So hopefully I also love it. Let's choose our second book. I'm trying to not rip this because I do want to use it for the next time I film one of these videos. Okay, there we go. Oh, you guys, this book is so good and exactly what I'm craving for autumn. We got If We Were Villains by ML Rio. This is a dark academia book. I've heard that it's very similar. Sorry, there's a hair in my mouth. I've heard that it follows a very similar premise to The Secret History by Donna Tartt. If you don't know, The Secret History is like one of my all-time favorite books. And it's just a book that's really stuck with me. I thought the writing was phenomenal. And it was just a very unique story. It was one of the first books I've read with that kind of premise. And I just fell in love with dark academia because of The Secret History. I was sort of putting this book off because unlike The Secret History, where they study classical studies and philosophy, this one, they study Shakespeare. And I'm not huge into Shakespeare. Like, I know a lot of his plays and I am familiar with his work, but I just don't love Shakespeare, unfortunately. And because these students are obsessed with Shakespeare, and I've heard that there's a lot of like Shakespeare in this book, I was thinking, I don't know if I'm gonna like this book. But I did recently see Sarah Crowley read this book and she really loved it. And she said it's not as Shakespeare heavy as she thought it was gonna be. And then because of that, I ended up purchasing this book. So yeah, I'm so excited to read this book. I love the book cover and I've just been really looking forward to reading this book. And I was waiting until it was like autumn/winter. And now that it's autumn, I just feel like it is the perfect time to read this book, especially like on a rainy, cold day. Oh, I think similar to The Secret History, there is a murder mystery. So you've got like 6 students, I believe 6 students, and one of them ends up dying. And one of the other students killed that student, I'm pretty sure. And you're sort of figuring it out as you go. And it's fun. It's like a dark academia, murder mystery, just a good time. So I'm very much looking forward to this book. Okay, time to choose our third book. Finally, I've been wanting to read this book for so long. I've been wanting to read all of these books, so I'm going to say that about every single book. Anyways, this book is Love and Virtue by Diana Reid. This is a literary fiction from my understanding. So sorry. You can hear the motorcycles, my bad. I picked this book up when I was in Perth, Australia in like November last year. And I was wanting to buy a book by an Australian author, and this one was like propped up on the shelf. And it's won many awards. And this, from my understanding, is a story about like a toxic female friendship, that kind of friendship that you only have when you're very young. You know, when you're like 16, 17, and you're like best friends, you're obsessed with each other, but sort of like in an unhealthy kind of way. It's that sort of premise. I believe there are like two different kinds of girls. One of them is like that really popular, outgoing, life just sort of goes her way kind of girl, and the other one is a lot more shy and reserved and just very different to the other girl. On the back of it, it says, "Are you a good person or do you just look like one?" I actually hadn't heard a lot about this, but after I purchased it, I was online on Instagram and I saw this girl talk about how if you love Sally Rooney's writing, then you would really enjoy this book. And luckily I do like Sally Rooney's writing. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this, and I think this will be a nice book to sort of break up a lot of the fantasy romance that I presume we're gonna get, just because a lot of the books wrapped up here are fantasy romance. This will be a good, not palette cleanser, but just something to break up the fantasy romance. Anyways, let's choose our fourth book. Right, number 13. You see, I was just talking about how there's a lot of fantasy romance in there. I knew it. We have Lightlark by Alex Astor. I have been seeing this book for a while. It's been on my radar, honestly, I think for like 2 years or so. And this is a book that I've heard such polarizing reviews on. Like, people seem to either really, really love it or they dislike it and think that it's a ripoff from a lot of different fantasy romances. I don't know, like I said in a previous video, I think because everything's already been done in fantasy romance, any book you read now is always going to seem like a bit of a ripoff from a different fantasy romance. So hard to have like a unique, fresh perspective in the fantasy romance realm just because everything's already been done. I believe this has like a deadly tournament in it. I think every 100 years, what does it say? Yeah, every 100 years, the island of Lightlark appears for only 100 days, and it is to host a deadly game where the rulers of 6 realms fight to break the curse and win unparalleled power. And each of the rulers has something to hide, each curse is uniquely wicked, and to break the curse and save themselves, one ruler must die. It sounds very good. And I've also heard there's a love triangle in this book. Now, something about me, I love a love triangle. One of my favorite tropes. I don't know why, I just think it's so much fun, and I like to be kept on my toes, being like, oh my god, who is she gonna choose? It's just such a good time. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this book. Okay, let's choose our 5th book. Another fantasy romance. We have The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. I got this book in my February TBR, I believe, but if you don't know, I got married in February, so it was a very busy month. I think I only read like 3 books in February, I think. So I didn't get around to this book, but I've heard such fantastic things about this book. It's kind of giving Six of Crows vibes. It's about these like tricksters and sort of con men. They're like young people, but you know, con artists. And it's set in Cairo in Egypt, and apparently there's Egyptian mythology in this. Yeah, it's set in the markets of 18th century Cairo. Thieves, tricksters, con artists, and outcasts make a living swindling rich nobles and foreign invaders alike. Do you see what I mean about the Six of Crows reference? Kind of similar. Just seems like it's going to be a good time. Okay, time to choose our 6th book. I'm so excited for this book. This will be our 4th fantasy romance of April. So we have This Woven Kingdom by Tahari Mafi. I hope I'm saying that right. This is the author that wrote the Shatter Me series, and I did consider reading that series, but when I was sort of flicking through in the bookshop, it was just a bit too YA for me. And I think this one is YA borderline new adult. And I've also heard that in this one there is a love triangle. Like I said, I love me a love triangle. It's so much fun. So much fun. Let's see what this book is about. Oh, I love books when the main character is sort of like hiding in plain sight, like they're undercover, or they're just disguised as something else. So the main girl in this book, she is the long lost heir to an ancient kingdom, but she is hiding as a servant. So the prince at the kingdom that she is a servant for, I think he grows a little bit suspicious of her, but it seems like he also starts falling in love with her. So I don't know, you guys. I honestly don't know much about it. I also do want to go into this book kind of blind. I'm really happy I got this book, and this will definitely be a high priority just because I've been so keen to start this book. So very happy. Okay, let's choose our 7th book. Number 7. Oh, that's perfect. Number 7 for the 7th book. Right. Oh, I'm trying not to rip it. We have The Runaway Bride by Felicity York. This is a part of a new series, I believe. I think it's like an interconnected standalone series. What is it called? Yeah, this is the first book in the Stately Scandal series. If you guys watch my channel, you know that Mama loves her some scandal. Specifically scandal set in like a Regency England setting. It's gonna do it for me every time. It's gonna do it for me every time, unfortunately. And this is set in 1826. So the main girl, Ellen, she ends up getting into some sort of rendezvous with this man called Edward, this rugged scoundrel called Edward Wakefield. And the pair of them are caught, and let's see what happens. And then her virtue becomes the subject of hot public debate. And in the ensuing court case, Ellen keeps a cool head until she discovers who is judging her trial, which is her mortifyingly handsome and charming neighbor, Thomas. Ellen faces a choice. To pursue the husband of her dreams would mean risking everything. But when a lady's reputation already lies in tatters, what has she to lose? I don't know, guys, it just sounds so good. I also haven't seen this book being talked about. I don't know if this is the kind of book that would get very popular if it's like mainstream romance. I think it should be from the back of it, but hopefully I love it so I can recommend it to you guys. I'm starving, so I'm gonna try to wrap up the last 3 books because I need to eat. So let's choose our 8th book. Number 9. Okay. We have Fragile Sanctuary by Catherine Cowles. I did get sent this like in a PR package, and you guys know I'm not normally one for romances, like contemporary romance. This is a cowboy romance, but I have heard that this is also like a mystery, like some sort of murder mystery going on alongside of the cowboy romance, and that just makes it a lot more fun for me. And I also think she falls in love with her brother's best friend, something like that. I have seen people online really enjoy this book, and you know what? I'm gonna give it a go, especially because I've got so much fantasy romance. It'll be nice to have something a little bit different, break it up. So yeah, our 8th book is Fragile Sanctuary by Catherine Cowles. Let's choose the 9th book. Number 4. Another fantasy romance. We have A Dawn of Onyx by Kate Golden. This is the first book in the Sacred Stones trilogy. I think this is a trilogy. I have also heard relatively mixed reviews about this. People are either head over heels in love with this series, or it's kind of mid for them. I don't know anything about the series, to be quite honest with you. I did buy it because I thought the cover was very pretty, and I bought it when I was book shopping and sort of just treating myself and picking whatever book I thought looked good. And this was one of the books. Now, okay, so she is captured by the King of Darkness. Okay, so the main girl has been taken prisoner by the most dangerous kingdom on the continent. Oh, and they're using her rare magical abilities to heal the soldiers of the vicious Onyx King. I am presuming that the vicious Onyx King is going to be the love interest. If I'm going to follow the normal fantasy romance formula, that is where it leads me. It leads me to think that he is the love interest. I actually think I'm going to prioritize this book over some of the other books in this TBR just because I've had this book the longest. So I think I need to get to it first before I start the other ones. Okay, guys, let's choose the 10th book, Lucky Last. Number 29. I don't know why, but I have a feeling that this is Renegades by Marissa Meyer. Just judging by the size of this book. And also because it's glossy. Yeah. I just knew it. Honestly, I just know the exact size of this book. I can't explain it. But this is Renegades by Marissa Meyer. This is a priority on my TBR this month because I think this is the 3rd time it's landed on my TBR. And I did make a promise to myself, if a book lands on my TBR 3 times, I have to read it. And I have kept to that promise 90% of the time. This is a superhero, sort of giving Marvel kind of vibes. And I believe the Renegades are like this rebel group fighting against like the government. I don't even know. Girl, yes, the Renegades are a syndicate of prodigies, humans with extraordinary talents, and they emerged from the ruins of a crumbled society. And I think at the beginning of it, yes. So it tells you all the characters, and it tells you what each of their superpower is. I've honestly just heard such good things about this book. It's very fast-paced, really fun. And Marissa Meyer also wrote Artlist, which is like one of my favorite books. I really loved her writing. It felt like stepping into a movie. Like I was just like, the visuals of it, I was there. I am really happy this has landed on my TBR, and I really need to get around to it. So that is our lucky last book. Okay, guys, we've got a very good stack of books for April, so I'm very excited to read because I'm in such a big reading mood right now. All right, thank you so much for watching my video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you all next time. Bye!